Hello and welcome to the Sports Podcast. In today's episode, we are going to talk about the future of sports. Where is the future of sport going? What's going to happen? What will change? What will stay the same? To make this episode extra engaging, I asked some of my friends to send me some questions about what they're curious about when it comes to the evolution of sports. I'll be answering those questions. And let's dive right into it. The first question is from my roommate, ShaneBen. He asked, how do I think technology will change the way we play and watch sports? This is a great question. Technology is always changing. Not only sports, but everything in the world. I think of wearable tech, like the GPS that a lot of the professionals are wearing, all the statistics that we have now. I think it's going to make players so much better. When you look back on how sport has evolved over the years, players now are so much better than they were before. And you get a lot of people that say that we've reached our max. Like there's no one else could be this good, no one else could be this fast. I disagree. I think with the technology we have now, we're just gonna continue to find ways of making players so much better, making teams better. One of those ways, I think, will be AI. I think AI is it's speeding up so quickly, the pace at which it's changing and becoming better. I think what we're going to see is we're going to see AI systems be able to do things with statistics from sports. I feel like, again, with the GPS trackers, with that information, what they're going to be able to do is find such small faults or where players are going wrong that are, visibly not there for a coach or for any human. I think they're going to be able to find these things, and it will come down to, in the future, who has not only the best coach, not only the best players, but who has the best AI systems, who has developed the best AI system for their team, that knows their team the best, and that also knows other people's teams, so it can take things from their teams and say, well, this is how you should play against this team. This is how you'll have, a 90% chance of winning instead of what normally would be 50-50, or just for example. So yeah, I think technology is gonna be very interesting over the next few years. I think players are just gonna get so much better because of technology. When it comes to training and coaching, it's just gonna be in the next level. So the next question come in from Ben. Ben sent in this question. Will esports ever be as big as traditional sports? I think esports is rapidly evolving. However, it's not engaging with the older generations as much, and that's understandable because they didn't grow up playing the amount of hours of video games that my generation did, and that the generation coming up after us will. Because ultimately that's what sparks interest in a sport for most people, is that you've played it, or that you've seen someone play it, or that your son plays it, or your cousin plays it, or your brother plays it. So I think it's something that will progress with the generation. But from what I can see, it will go very, very high. It will become a very big thing. I don't think it'll overtake traditional sports. I feel like there's always going to be a natural biological drive in most people to be competitive and play a sport that's physical. However, for the people that aren't naturally gifted, it's such an obvious outlet of that competitiveness for them to go into. Like, I think games just need to become more entertaining. I think game developers are gonna start making games with esports in mind. I mean, I know this is already happening, but as it goes on in the future, it's going to become more of the focused. I mean, I think of the one esports game that I honestly watch the most is Rocket League. For those who don't know, Rocket League is like this. You can look it up. It's a soccer car game, basically, where you could either play 1-on-1, 2-versus-2, 3-versus-3. 3-versus-3 is the standard mode, so it's naturally a team game. But there's also that 2v2 and 1v1 aspect. And it's just so entertaining, but it wasn't meant to be entertaining. When it was made in 2015. I started playing in 2016. And when it was originally made, it wasn't made with the idea of being entertaining for someone to watch without playing. But it just naturally had that. And I think the reason why it had that is because it was like soccer, and that's what soccer is. It is so entertaining to watch because anything can happen at any time. And the developers just ran with it, and the esports scene grew so rapidly that it became almost its main accelerant when it came to popularity. I think it was just great. So yeah, I think when it comes to esports, it's going to come down to, will game developers make games with the element of entertainment in mind? But will it be more than traditional sports? I'm not sure. I think they could get up to the same level. I mean, you also have to consider the fact that a lot of esports, you think of FIFA, Madden, 2K, these games rely on not only game developers, but they rely on the sport themselves. They're based off the sports, and so naturally, the evolution of the two is intertwined, I believe. But anyway, on to the next question. This question is coming in from Braiden. What role will sustainability play in the future of sports? Yeah, this is an important topic. Sports organizations are increasingly realizing they have a role to play in tackling climate change and promoting sustainability. Big events like the Olympics and the World Cups leave massive environmental footprints, so we're seeing efforts to make them greener. For example, stadiums are being designed with renewable energy sources like solar panels, and they're using sustainable materials in construction. I when I say that, I look back to the World Cup in Qatar when they used, I think it was like cargo containers to build a stadium that they could construct and then deconstruct and then construct somewhere else so that it was usable. I never followed up on that and seen whether or not they did ever reconstruct it and how long it will be reconstructible for. That would be a question of mine in that particular case. But there's definitely more money from governments now as well, and more incentive to become greener as the climate change issue becomes more threatening. So yeah, thanks for that question, Braden. Very insightful and important question. What does the future of diversity in sport look like? I think sports is it's a tricky question when it comes to sports, in my opinion. I know, like, a lot of people believe that anybody can be good at any sport, no matter who they are, but I feel that's just not. It's not realistic. When you look at, like runners, for example, most long distance runners that have been the best. I mean, certainly there's been a pattern that the best long distance runners come from the Rift Valley in the north of Kenya. And there's no denying that that is due to genetics, that they clearly have some genetic, what's the word? Where the gene has developed, or the gene has I forget the word, but it just develops more. It changes out of nowhere, and that gene then goes on to become more proficient, or more likely. It makes the person better and more likely to produce offspring historically. Now, obviously, that doesn't play, your genes doesn't play as much as a role in producing offspring. Everyone can produce offspring. And so I think after a while, our gene pool will become so intermingled with, there's no stigma against interracial relationships anymore. Like, genes are becoming more shared. I say there's no stigmas, at least there shouldn't be, and I don't think there will be in the future. I think we're going to a good place with that. But for the current moment, I think, I think we will continue to see certain sports dominated by certain races for the foreseeable future. These genetics take a long time to dilute, and for there to be one world gene pool where anyone can have any gene at any time, that's going to take a lot of time. It's going to take a lot of generations. But I think that's where we will go. I feel when you look at certain sports and see that they're dominated by certain races, a lot of the time, or even positions that are dominated by certain races, there's a reason why they are that way. But that doesn't mean there isn't exceptions. The best sprinters in the world are usually from Jamaica. Lynn Thompson, like you'd think of Usain Bolt, Blake. These are all from Jamaica, and Jamaica has I think it has a population of around 2 million, which for something like sprinting to be so dominated by, and it's not dominated, but I think their success in the sport, the Jamaican success in the sport, and specifically it being sprinting and not long distance, it shows that there is some genes playing a part in that success. Well, that's all for today's episode of the Sports Podcast. I hope you enjoyed exploring the future of sports with me. We went over some relevant topics: esports, genetics, technology, and there's so much to look forward to in the world of sports. Big thank you to my friends, Braiden, Ben, and Shane. You made this podcast extra fun, engaging. If you like this podcast, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your sports-loving friends. Thank you, and peace out.